Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to some more Elden Ring. So today is another episode where I'm needing to do a voiceover post-editing, just due to the whole issue with the PS5 controller. But yeah, well, let's just jump straight in. So as you can see here, we're back in this town. I was able to find a merchant that was selling a specific torch that lets you see assassins. It was basically in the item description. I went to a bunch of different merchants because I remembered finding a merchant that had like a note, like a hint to say how you deal with them, but I couldn't find that one in particular, but I did find this Sentry's torch here. That pretty much just says, yeah, you can see the Knight of Black Knives, or yeah, whatever they are, Assassins of the Black Knives. So essentially now, because I can see the assassins, I'm able to, well, attempt to countermeasure them, I suppose, but they have a ridiculous amount of HP, considering they're A, normally meant to be invisible, and B, like, they do so much damage. But we have like run into these guys before. Like there was one outside of in Lane Dell, outside of the Queen's bedchamber and stuff like that, but definitely not this tough. So originally I wasn't sure if I could one-hand the Moonlight Greatsword and one-hand the Torchlight if I had to. Eventually I figure out you can just two-hand the Moonlight Greatsword and just have the torch, you know, like, not de-equipped, but you don't need to be like specifically holding it to see them. But yeah, but essentially these guys are like everywhere throughout this area, and I chose to fight this one because I was like, well, you know, may as well, right? Somehow I managed not to die. Like, he whoops my ass repeatedly, but yeah, you see, I'm just like trying to run away. I think I complimented him on his cape. But yeah, and then so this is like pretty much the only one I actually attempt to fight, because it's like, well, there's like 5 or 6 of these guys around. I'm trying to find like 4 different torches to light. You know, I'm just trying to make my way downtown, you know what I mean? So I just skip to walking fast. But yeah, and then thankfully one of the torches is like right at the start here. I didn't even really notice it, because there was those invisible guys like chilling in the like the real version of this town. I thought I'd be going up to the top of the towers a lot like the area in Caelid, but yeah, I got lucky, walked up to that, and it's like, oh, light a torch. I'm like, alright, sweet, I guess. So we go through. This honestly took me about an hour. Finding that one in particular wasn't too bad. This third one took me forever, because it's just like one ladder at the back of a building. I'm like skirting all the assassins. This here is like trying to get to the last one. There's a bunch of these guys, like archers, that do a lot of damage. They have a lot of health. Not nearly as bad as the assassins, thankfully. You know, we kill him, we get a old Burniac blood clot. Don't know what that is, don't know what it does, but I can at least go up here and light the 4th torch, which lets us get on our way. And I really wasn't sure if this would say lead to a boss fight, or like what the deal was. But yeah, so it tells you straight away like, hey, your seal's broken, and then it just takes you straight out of that world. A bit like when you do the jails, it just like takes you out once you kill the boss. So yeah, now that the seal is broken, we can head up the stairs. I kind of expected there to be more assassins. Thankfully not. Like, you know, you go up here, I am very sure I was like look around because I'm like, oh, ascending gate. Make sure there's no assassins chasing me. And yeah, so we go through the ascending gate here. It takes us to Mikola's Haligtree, which is essentially the next area we were trying to get to anyway, because we're trying to track down Mikola, as well as Melania. But yeah, I'm pretty much going to skip through all of this, because this took, again, about a solid hour to like navigate through. It was like pretty cool, and it culminated in this boss fight here. But yeah, I like died a bunch, some pretty tough enemies. There was ant guys, and then so we have Loretta here, the Knight of the Haligtree. Essentially it's like, yeah, a horseback knight, but they use magic. And it was a very cool fight, honestly. So you gotta skirt around the magic. I was annoyed that my beam from the Moonlight Greatsword didn't reach them, but their magic reached me. Somehow, like, I skirt under their attacks twice there because of the hurt box shifting with the sword. I get super greedy and just instantly die, essentially. But on my second attempt, I was able to get them to phase 2, and yeah, I was very, very impressed with this boss. It had such a sick phase 2. You know, getting the extra like magic and stuff. Plus, I really like the way magic is done in this game. Like, it looks really pretty. Like, I'm a big fan of the blue. Yeah, I'm dodging around and I get hit with the triple arrow. Yeah, I'm like, they were using 1 and they changed to 3 in phase 2. And long story short, I died to this boss a bunch and I wanted to keep going, so I used the Mimic Tear Ash. It was the first time I'd used it, so I was like, okay, well, let's see how this thing handles. It was +7 at the time. The Mimic Tear Ash is ridiculous. It essentially just does exactly what the boss does in terms of the Mimic boss. It copies exactly your armor and weapon setup. So if you're using it, just make sure you only have like, you know, 1 weapon equipped and not have a torch, because if you have a torch, the Mimic will try and use it. But yeah, I literally just did that just because I just did not have time to sit there and grind the boss out for like an hour on its own. I kind of regret doing it, and on my second like run through of the game, which will be New Game Plus, I definitely won't be using the Mimic. It just like, it unbalances it a lot. But yeah, and then we just literally keep going. Like, this area is massive, dude, and it's so cool. I really like this second area. But yeah, it just takes a very long time to get through. As you can see, I'm like trying to like look to see what's behind me. But yeah, Alphael, Brace of the Haligtree it's just cool, man. Like, it's just such a cool area. And it's big too. Like, this is, again, it took me another like hour to get through this area because there's so many branching paths. There's so many like just hidden alcoves with things in it, and I wanted to explore everything. And there's a lot of cool loot in here too. So because it's like a very endgamey kind of area, there was like endgame smithing stone, so the like ancient dragon smithing stone, which is effectively a titanite slab, as well as the somber ancient dragon smithing stone, which is like the special titanite slab, which we needed for the Moonlight Greatsword. So I don't have that yet. I just want to kill that, and then yeah, we get in here, just like de-equipping stuff, and we find Millicent again. Millicent's cool chick.
Again we meet. I can only surmise our
Her questline too is very, very long, considering it started in Caelid, needing to find a needle.
to explain myself.
Well, yeah, she tells us that she's,
Blood,
I
but in what
guess, part of the
capacity,
bloodline
I
for
know not.
millennia.
I could be sister, daughter, or an offshoot. Whatever the case, though, I am certain of a kinship between us.
Yeah, which is like very, very cool. Like,
There is
it's,
something
as I said,
I
like,
must
this is a side quest that
return to
started
Lena.
in Caelid,
The will that was
and
once her own. The
like,
dignity,
you go all the way here to like
sense of self.
effectively an endgame area, and you're
allowed
still
her
doing
to
the side
resist
quest.
The call of the scarlet rot,
I don't know, man.
the pride
It's like,
she abandoned.
some of these side
to
quests
meet
can be
Radahn's
very
measure.
convoluted to complete them, but they're so worth
There
it.
is something I'm the will, the dignity.
Yeah, and she just talks about like wanting to return it. Like return herself back to Millennia, I guess. And then here, I effectively got myself trapped on a balcony with this dude just shooting shit at me. So I was like, fine, I'll like leap off, hope to not die, come down and fight you. So these guys show up pretty much at like every minor Erd tree. But this one in particular is a version not a big fan of, just purely because I'm not a big fan of the Scarlet Rot status element in general. But, I mean, to be fair, it's better than the Death status element, I guess. But yeah, there's still actually one more of these guys in the overworld I need to go and fight. This guy wasn't technically treated as a boss, but he was obviously still in my way, so I wanted to deal with him. Moonlight Greatsword is very good for like stunning enemies, particularly if you can get off like multiple of the beams. Beam has very good posture damage, as well as in general just being very, very strong. But yeah, he pretty much fights exactly like the rest of them, which is why for the most part I dodge him okay. The problem is, and it's like, it's the same for a lot of them, particularly in the end game, like, he just hits so hard. And those beams too, like, you get caught by like 1 or 2 of them, you're in a lot of trouble. And like, at this point I have like 40 vigor, which in previous games was roughly the soft cap, but I think the soft cap is a bit higher in this game, I'm not sure. Mostly because you can actually level up a lot more than in previous games, purely from the fact that there's just more bosses, more enemies, etc. Yeah, now we're getting like really close. I'm like almost out of heals. My OBS was a bit shit there and just like freaked out. One of the downsides of playing on PC and then also trying to record at the same time when you're like playing on max settings and all that jazz. I got very greedy there. I thought I could kill him. I just go for the kill here. But yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, but the item I picked up for was one of those Somber Ancient Dragon Stones. It was the first one I'd found, which lets us go and upgrade the Moonlight Greatsword to +10 as well. And we obviously get the staff from him, which is, you know, great and all. But yeah, so I make my way through the area. I've pretty much done a ton of exploring. I think I only died like once, which is honestly pretty good. But yeah, I went through like a top route and there's like another one of those Ertrude guys. There's ballistas. There's like all that jazz if you just want to cut through the middle. But obviously I like to go through the top. Can thankfully like make a jump. And that's what I mean, like the verticality of this area too, like going up and down like a lot of like precarious walkways and different staircases and stuff. I was very happy to see that Grace, and there's actually a ladder which like to my left a bit, and I don't see it at all until I get to the ground, and I'm like, oh god, do I make this? Somehow I do. I did read, I think that Dex is apparently meant to affect like how much fall damage you can take, but I don't have any investment in Dex at the moment with this current build. But yeah, we grab this Grace, and then I actually make my way back to this guy here who needs the Seedbed Curses, the Dung Eater. So in Alpha, I actually found 2 of these things, which gave me a total of 5, and I was like, well, I haven't been back to see him yet, so I'm gonna go do that, because I kind of figured, you know, maybe he'll give me something. I thought this guy was like the Lord of Blood or something, because, you know, he was like a named guy in the like opening cutscene. Oh yeah, this is really weird. Like, you get in here and he's like tied up to a chair. And then, you know, he's just like real upset about what's happening.
They'll be born cursed.
He's talking about that, right? Like, and their children, and their children's children. For 3 months.
And their children's children.
I just still don't really know what's going on with him. I'm very put off by that white thing between his legs. But yeah, so we like to use the Seedbed Curses. And all you get really is a black screen with some pretty disturbing sound effects.
Unleash it upon them! A curse blessing!
Yeah, I mean, I can't, part of me is like, I really wish they animated whatever was going on there. But I suppose the screams also tell the tale. Yeah, and then you come out of it, and he's dead. And he has what's called the Mending Rune. Which I was not expecting. I was kind of expecting, like, you know, maybe I get a weapon out of him, or like armor, you know, that sun crest, like something like that. But yeah, then we go and check it out, and it's like, okay, what the heck is this Mending Rune? And it can be used to mend the shattered Elden Ring. So that seems pretty important. Yeah, it's a lonesome rune gestated by the Dung Eater, used to restore the fractured Elden Ring when brandished by the Elden Lord. The reviled curse will last eternally, and the world's children, grandchildren, and every generation hence will be its pustules. If order is defiled entirely, defilement is defilement no more, and for every curse... something. I can't read that fast. Damn it, editing Shadowlink, why'd you cut it so quick? Either way, obviously, after that, I just came back here and I was like, alright, well, let's continue a little bit more. We go up here, and there's 3 of these, like, crystal dudes, who, unless you have, like, a blunt-style weapon, like the, mace or something like, or a club, you pretty much do no damage to them at all. I fought these as, like, separate bosses in tunnels before. But with 3 of them there, I was like, man, screw this, I'm just gonna get the chest, and then I'm out. Not that I really need like too many like chests anymore. Like it's still like fun to pick up items, even though at this point in time at least my build was pretty set. Yeah, and then it's like I'm still continuing on through here to be like just trying to figure out where to go. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm effectively just been checking every single path, trying to see what's going on, and it just seems like we're going deeper and deeper into this tree, and we're suddenly like seeing a lot of scarlet rot. My game like freaked out there for a second because I moved the camera. Playing on PC, like for the most part, the performance is perfectly fine, but I mean it's pretty widely reported, and I've experienced a lot that you get slowed down. And I think it's to do with like the DRM and things like that. But I am playing like max settings, and as I said, like I'm recording it at the same time, so it makes sense that you might get some like performance drops here and there. But yeah, and then we're going through, and man, Miyazaki, the guy who makes this game, freaking loves poison swamps. Like he is a huge fan of them, and for the most part, there hasn't been like massively pervasive poison swamps outside of the occasional one, or like scarlet rot swamps. There is that one that's underground that I did not enjoy exploring. And there's actually still a boss in there that I need to go back and do. But you know, I'm not exactly keen on doing it. But yeah, so I'm like sort of thinking to myself like, alright, it looks kind of swampy. Is this really going to do what I think it's going to do? And then yeah, sure enough, it's a friggin' scarlet rot swamp. And the interesting thing about this particular one is that even when you're like out of it, so like if you're standing on flat ground that isn't in the swamp, you actually still generate scarlet rot. So you pretty much need to like get completely clear of it. And yeah, so now I'm like, okay, how many of these boluses do I have? And as you can see, straight away it's going straight back up, even though I'm out. I still haven't found the recipe book to make those boluses, which is not good. I know that I found a merchant who sells them, and I bought him out. So I, at this current stage, have a finite amount of these things. So I, at this point, just rolling through, like, I'm not really that keen on exploring. I start seeing things popping out of the swamp. Like, nah, just roll. And then here's something, like, I get very lucky here, because I roll and for whatever reason get, like, a big, like, boost off of that thing, and I don't know why. So luckily I aimed it at the tree stump. But yeah, it's like, here's a scarlet rot swamp, and then very precarious, like, platforming. Thankfully I don't get stunned by that thing that's just shot at me too. But man, like, the visuals, particularly even in this area, like, so good. Like, you're inside of a tree, but there's like buildings, and I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I love this game. It's just visually such a pleasing thing to look at. Like, they really buffed up, like, just from a visual standpoint, the way the world looks, as opposed to, say, like, Dark Souls, I guess, is probably a good example. That I love, like, those games, but they can err on the drab side. So yeah, so I just grabbed this grace here, and that's pretty much gonna be me done. This is about 3 hours cut into like 18 minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.